Oh, kia ora, bro. Welcome, hello, and welcome to IQ session number 89. Look
We're close.
at that.
Do you know next week's 90?
Fascinating. Just like today's Thursday, because yesterday was Wednesday.
That's all it was.
Anyway, tonight is all about how to avoid disappointment. I can't even remember the title when it comes to how to avoid the disappointment of another failed challenge or goal.
All right, it's a good one because the reality.
We have 3 points for you tonight.
Yeah, this will be quite quick.
Actually, we've got 3 theories for you tonight. Matt's labelled them all theories.
Because that's what they are. So we are talking about how to avoid the disappointment of failing either a goal or a challenge. Maybe you've had that happen to you in the past before where you've started something, you really had high hopes for it, and then along the way something happens, you stumble, you fumble, and you don't quite hit it, you give up, whatever happens. Life happens. That's cool. So our first one, we've called it the cotton wool theory.
Oh, the cotton wool theory. This is my favorite. This is
it. This is the one where you just say, stuff it, I'm out. I'm not going to try again. I can't fail if I don't try again.
Yep, do nothing.
Yep.
That is tip number 1 as to how to avoid disappointment of failing.
Exactly.
Don't do anything.
Because failing sucks.
Easy.
It hurts. And
there you go.
If you have the cotton wool theory, it means you can look after yourself and look after your feelings.
Yeah.
And just don't try ever again. That's the first one.
Sit on the couch, Netflix.
Chill.
Just do that.
And that's the reality of that some people take this approach is because they have failed. They don't like the failing feeling that they get when they set out to do something and they fall short. But the reality is that failing or learning, as we call it, is actually part of the journey. It's actually the stuff that makes you better the next time around. And the way we put it here is that actually when you fail at something, it exposes weaknesses in you that then allow you to promote the strength that is inside you also. So there's no failing in that can happen. What there is learning, and only ever learning is what's available when it comes to doing these sorts of things. You're up.
That's good.
Now you've got no words.
I said my little punchline, which was do nothing.
Oh, yeah, and you were doing nothing. Well done.
This point.
What a great point. Do nothing like Sheridan. No, so the reality is that when you can approach life like this, where you just give up on everything, which is what some people choose to do because it's easy and it's simple.
That is so boring.
It is.
If you always stay within your little comfort bubble, you'll never grow, you'll never experience the joys of life. Now, we have to have the darkness to enjoy the sunshine. So, night has to come, and we have to expect that night is going to come. There is going to be darkness, but we know that after that darkness comes a beautiful sunrise, and we get a beautiful sunny day afterwards. So we need to expect that life isn't just going to be smooth sailing, that challenges or goals aren't just going to be from point A to point B, straight line, let's go. Can it happen? Yes. Is it likely? No. Should we expect that it's going to be rough? Yes, because then you have a better experience. We can't just expect to hop in a car and drive to Sydney and just hook it straight and expect to get there. No, you got to go around corners and you got to take different turns and stuff. But when we expect these things, the disappointment is like at least halved because you're ready for it. It's when we're expecting life to just be rosy, that's when it can hit you for 6 because you're just not expecting it. So expect things to happen. Don't prepare for them though, expect them. And what I say was don't prepare, I'm not skipping ahead by saying this, am I? To another point, is there's a parable in the Bible, and it talks about we get what we prepare for. So no matter what you're asking for, what you're wishing for, praying for, whatever it might be, whatever you prepare for is what you get. So if you're preparing for failure, you're 100% going to get it. Even if you're willing and wishing and praying that you just get success, if you've prepared for failure, you're going to get it every time.
Exactly.
So prepare for success. Should I?
Yes.
What did I do?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm about to learn something about me here.
Okay, so and the easiest one we've got for us is our house that we purchased recently, about a year ago, we were really wishing and wanting it to happen. We were jumping through all the hoops, doing all the bits and pieces, but we kept getting delayed on the finance. We didn't get it. Now, what was happening is we were preparing to not get it. Yeah. We didn't prepare for ourselves to achieve and get the house accepted. So what I did as an act of faith and an act of saying, you know what, stuff this preparation for not getting something. I went and took Sheridan on a date, and I bought her a
we went on a
letterbox.
date to Bunnings.
Exactly. But we bought the letterbox.
And I liked it.
We bought the letterbox to the house that we wanted to buy with the number, and she got to choose the color and all that sort of stuff there, because the current letterbox on the house was broken for a start. And what it did was a big declaration. We prepared to move in, and then the application followed soon after. We soon realized that we were hindering the process happening quicker because we were trying to take control of the situation, and we were preparing for what if it doesn't work, and what if this. And the reality was the more we did that, the more it didn't work. And then my little grasshopper here had to learn to let it all go and walk with an act of faith, and then let go of past things that have happened that aren't positive, and allow things that positively are in front of us.
There's stories about things happening in the 11th hour. I'm not sure if you've heard that before, but it's at the moment when you actually let go and you give up, because you're like, I've done everything I can possibly do, and whatever will be will be. Now, our finance side of things with our house, now I just want to paint a picture. We were in a non-banker's brain, we were perfect clients to get this loan. We had zero debt, no car loan, nothing like that. We had more than a 20% deposit saved, but our only challenge was that we were self-employed, and that always adds as a little bit of a challenge. However, we had more than enough money, all that kind of thing, but I was in the way.
Well, that was our language about it, was we're self-employed, it's going to be hard, it's going to be this. So we were preparing to be rejected. And then
the 11th hour, literally, we got given 3 finance extensions. Now, this is also in the peak of the first lockdown of COVID, or second lockdown.
Many.
Yeah, they all blend into one, really. And so the banks were on short staff. So rather than applications taking 7 to 14 days, they were pushed out to 45 days, that kind of thing. We had to keep asking for finance extensions. And then one of our beautiful members, Jade, she was our conveyancer, and she's like, look, the conveyancer for the other side have said, this is the last extension. You've got till Monday midday, and if it doesn't come through, it's over, all over Red Rover. Anyway, so Monday at 10 midday was was the final hour. Sunday at 10 a.m. we got the call to say everything was done, signed, sealed, delivered. Like, if that's not the 11th hour, like, what finance broker works on a Sunday and at 10 a.m. as well? So it's all about, being prepared, but also letting go for things to happen, and stop trying to fight everything all the time. You got to do the work for sure, but you can't fight the flow.
Yeah, exactly. Rule number 1, cotton wool theory.
Cotton wool theory.
You can stop and do nothing and protect yourself from ever being hurt again, and do nothing for the rest of your life and live a very boring life.
Yeah.
It won't be fun, because the failures are what the learnings are.
Yes.
Leads us into our second step, our theory. Sorry, we've called this the Lion King theory.
We've definitely called this the Lion King theory, because Matt loves the Lion King.
I do.
He was watching a clip of it on YouTube, and you wouldn't know that he's about to turn 40, because he was singing along to it. He's like, God, I love this movie.
It's a classic. So many lessons in that movie. It really is really good. Easy. But the Lion King theory is that scene, if you've ever seen the Lion King, which I'm sure most people have, it's where Rafiki, he's the baboon, he gives Simba a lesson in the past. And it's your past doesn't define you. Sorry. That's what this whole next one is that past efforts do not define current future efforts. You cannot live there because they created pain for you last time. It does not mean that in this present moment that the next challenge or next goal you set out will create the same amount of pain, because all you can ever do is learn from those lessons, but don't live in those lessons. Yes. That's the key to it all, right? And that was what the whole lesson was, that Rafiki was teaching Simba. Oh, bless his heart. And then Simba went on to obviously become back to the king.
You're emotional.
Back to being the king of the jungle and all that sort of stuff there. But because he was living in the past, if you've ever seen the movie, he thought he was responsible for his father dying. If you haven't seen that, obviously I'm sorry to spoil that for you, but it's a pretty age-old time
Simba's
movie.
dad
It's been around
died.
for a while. And anyway, he's held himself responsible. So he lives in the past. So he separates himself, and he's miserable because he blames himself for past things that have happened. But the reality was there was a lesson to be learned there. He just hadn't learned it yet. That was what he could not see. But he was letting that past experience define his future experience until good old Rafiki comes along and whacks him on the head with his stick.
I was quite impressed, though, that you didn't reenact it, because I was really sure that you were going to slap
Grab that
my
stick
face.
and whack your head.
To like really get the point across, because for the shock theory of, oh, he just hit her on camera.
And that's where it comes down to the whole thing. And that same theory is the language we say. Like we were saying before, is when we were applying for the house, our language was that, oh, we're self-employed, it's going to be hard. We were expecting and preparing for it to be hard. We never prepared for the opposite way of it being a smooth sail, because everyone told us when you're self-employed, it's harder to get a house. And we just bought into the language. So because we bought into that, our language from past people's experiences, we adopted, and it delayed ourselves getting where we wanted to get. Our own fault, because we didn't do the due diligence and correct our language and make sure that we had a different outcome, which is what past experiences allow you to do. It allows you to change your language so you can have a different outcome on the next one. They don't have to be the same unless you go, I always fail at challenges, I never follow through. Then that is going to come to fruition every time you enter a challenge or a goal. Sorry.
And other people's language can totally have an effect over you with that too. You know, you might tell, you know, your mum that you've got a goal to run 21 kilometers, and she's like, oh, that's not possible, or whatever it might be. Or, you know, every time I've done it, the challenges have never worked for me, or anything like that. But so you can actually adopt other people's ways of thinking, but that doesn't have to define you either, because you get to choose.
Exactly. My dad, when I was diagnosed with cancer, he didn't know how to talk to me. He just felt really awkward in the moment once I told him what had happened. All he had to share with me was that he knew people that had died. That was what he said. He goes, I know some people who died from cancer. That was a bit of advice he gave me, because he didn't know how to deal with it. Now, he only knew that language to pass on to me. Now, if I was weaker and soft and really valued every word my dad said to me, I would have gone into a state of panic and fear. So the reality was that I had a choice in that moment to listen to that language, or to say, that's your fault. That's your friend's fault. They died. I don't need to die. I don't need to hear that. I'm choosing not to hear that. I'm going to go this road. Because I also know a lot of people have had cancer and lived through cancer. So there's two sides of everything there. But the language he shared upon me, he could have been the most influential person in my life. And if he spoke those words to me and I valued them and I listened to them, I could have had a totally different outcome with how I approached when I went through all my chemo and all that sort of stuff there. So the reality is that those choices of those words are purely a decision that you choose to do, whether you accept them or not, is a choice that you will always have.
And it comes down to, as well, with a goal or a challenge, whatever it is that you're choosing to do, has someone before you succeeded? And the answer is totally yes. Have a lot of people failed before you? Yes. Most likely, but it's been done before. The success has been done before. So just choose that road. You get to choose which road you take.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great question. It's like, has someone else done this before me? The answer is generally always yes, unless you're pioneering something that's totally new to the world, then you may be the first person. But prior to that, most things that most people want to do on a very surface-based level has already been done before.
Another wise saying is, if not you, then who? Why not you?
Exactly, right?
Let's go. Giddy up.
Giddy up.
Yeah.
All right, that's our Lion King theory. Honestly, learn from the past. Don't live in it. Just learn from it and change your language, because it has a very different trajectory if you switch the language up from, I always fail at challenges, I never finish them. Those words are very powerful. Never, I can't, all those things there. Get rid of them and they'll have a totally different outcome, I promise you.
And when you're looking at the Lion King theory with not letting the past define you, look at those past experiences, take the emotion out. We talk about this so much, is taking out the emotion, looking at it from a third person or a bird's eye view, and going, cool, where did I go wrong? Or where did I slip up? Where can I improve next time? And work out strategies. This is the whole expectation coming about. Work out strategies to avoid that next time. It might be, when I'm super, super tired, or this, I know for me, for example, is when I'm super, super tired, that's when my eating falls, because I eat to try and keep myself awake or whatever it might be. So then I know that, cool, if that's my downfall, especially when it comes to a challenge, well, then I need to prioritize sleep and rest and those kind of things, so that I never get to that situation. And don't think that, doing an hour of extra work or whatever is going to get me further ahead, when in reality it's probably going to take me 2 steps back, because my sleep suffers. I therefore get tired. The next day is way less productive and I eat more. So putting in those steps and realizing what are the priorities and what do you need to prioritize in your day to make sure that you can be successful in all areas of your life. Eating good food. Maybe you need to get your Woolies order delivered, or organize an organic fruit and veg box every week. Seaside Organics are the best people for that if you're local to Frankston, just so you know. Those kind of things, like putting these steps in place and preparations to make sure that you can win, and take the thinking out of it. Maybe meal prepping, or, scheduling in your diary when you're going to do your workouts, or organizing with a friend going, cool, I'm committing to boot camp Monday to Friday every morning this week. I'm going to pick you up so that it's on me to make sure that I go, because you'll be waiting for me if not. Have those kind of things. Work out some strategies to really get you through.
Easy. Theory number 3.
Number 3.
Embrace the fear theory.
Feel the fear theory.
That's what this one means, is it's okay that you sucked last time. That's the reality of it, is if you failed at a goal or at a challenge, or you didn't quite see through what you were going to do, it's okay to say that you sucked last time. Okay. It's okay to embrace that suck and then learn from that suck. Okay. It's okay that you didn't nail it, but you want to aim to be better this time.
Suck a little less.
That's it. And if you suck less each time, you'll always be better for it, right? And those that keep showing up religiously and keep chipping away at new goals and doing those new things and all that sort of stuff there, they are always the people who are rewarded. I had a lot of talented friends when I was going through high school, from rugby player levels growing up. They should have went to the top of the top in New Zealand. Like, they were that good at what they did. The challenge is they were very lazy in their approach. They were very talented people, but a very lazy approach. They didn't have the discipline to go forth and do what they should have done and show up and train and keep working on their craft. Instead, they relied on their coattails of that they had a gift inside them, but they just didn't plan on increasing that gift. Now, what happened was, some of my other friends who weren't as talented as my other ones, they just kept showing up, and they were showing up, and they were showing up. They were never the best going through high school. They never made all the rep teams, but they are the ones that went on to do some amazing things for their country, because they kept showing up when the others were slacking off, partying like they're rock stars, and the other guys who were just getting up and doing the work.
And how many times do you hear of that happening, especially in the sporting world, that, such and such was actually not that talented as a kid, yet they become, one of the greats as an adult, because they have the work ethic and they have the consistency. We were chatting with our triathlon coach only a couple of weeks ago, and I was questioning about his journey, because he's pretty quick on a triathlon in a comp. And I wanted to know more about, clearly he was a fast runner as a kid, or, he was dominant on the bike, or he was a dominant swimmer. He was useless at all of them. He told me his times when he first started, and I was like, surely not, because he's literally like half his time. He went from running a 35-minute 5K to now he does it in like 17 minutes. Like, that's a huge difference. But it wasn't because he had extreme amounts of talent. It was because he was just consistent, and he embraced the fact that he sucked, but he just kept at it until he sucked a little less. And now he really doesn't suck, because he's freaking quick. And you look at the guy, he doesn't look like an athletic specimen.
He's got a beer belly.
He's a dad bod.
Yeah.
But the guy can compete. And it just goes to show that it's okay to suck. You just got to keep showing up.
Yep.
And when it comes to something like a challenge, maybe you get to 4 weeks and then you flounder, or whatever might happen, my question to you is even if you did make it to 5 weeks out of an 8-week challenge, isn't this going to make you better for it? 5 weeks of dedicated at making sure that you're healthier, fitter, and stronger has got to be better than no weeks. Like, it's got to be better than the cotton wool theory. Or, maybe you set a goal to run a marathon and you give up after 3 weeks of running training. Well, hello, 3 weeks of running training is a lot better than no weeks of running training. And you can always get back on the horse and go for it. But let's make decisions based off what's good for us, not what necessarily feels good in the moment. Like, in the moment, maybe getting up at 4 a.m. to get your workout done for the day, because that's the only time you've got to do it, probably doesn't feel good in the moment, but are you going to be better for it? 100%. Absolutely. So, taking away the perfect journey, it's not going to be a perfect journey. Life is not going to be a perfect journey. A journey towards a goal is not going to be perfect, or an 8-week challenge is definitely not going to be perfect. But you just got to aim to do one better each time. And whether that be make it an extra day this time, or, do an extra run this time, or get a little further, get a little stronger, get a little healthier, because it's only going to add up to the greater good at the end. I literally just got off the phone before this to a guy that's going to start with us next week. He's 37 years old and just had a stroke. And thank God he's alive. But the fact that he was in a position to experience a stroke, like, we should we need to be healthier, fitter, and stronger so that we're never in that position. But he's just been given the greatest gift of life ever, because he's being given a real kick up the ass and a second chance to make sure that he's fitter and healthier and stronger. And that never happens again to him, because next time it could be game over, lights out. But, you know, just do better, and don't wait for big life-changing moments like a stroke to really kick you up the ass and get you into gear. Just realize what we got in front of us now and just do a little bit better. Yeah, you may have sucked last time, but who cares? We all did at one point. At one point, you couldn't even talk. One point, you couldn't feed yourself. One point, you couldn't run or walk, and now you can do all of that. Like, life can change. You just got to keep at it. You were consistent.
Well done, Sheridan.
Thank you.
You found your words. Good work.
I found my words.
Go. She found them. Those are our 3 theories, anyway, on how to avoid disappointment.
The cotton wool theory: just don't do anything and you won't fail.
That's the Suki approach, just so you know. I'm going to be a bit blunt on this one here. If you take that approach, I promise you're in for one hell of a ride, and life is going to be pretty scary for you, because you're going to be afraid of everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you approach life with the cotton wool theory, then all of a sudden you're going to be in a world of heartache, because you're going to be afraid to do anything because of what happens if I fail, what happens if I put myself out there, and you're not going to want to do anything, which means you're stagnated. If we stagnate, we're not growing. If we're not growing, we're dying. That's the reality of it. If you approach life with the cotton wool theory, I'm sorry, you're going to have one hell of a life. It's going to be shit. That's the easiest way to describe it. You need to get rid of the cotton wool theory out of your life and stop being afraid of fear, of failing, because those are the lessons that make us better every time. You can always see a lesson. No matter, in the moment, it can seem really hard to see it. It can be the most horrible situation, someone dying, someone, whatever it is. Yes, that can suck and that can be horrible, but there's something in it. You just can't see it just yet because you're clouded with emotion.
Like Jared, who I just spoke to, I'm sure in the moment of him having a stroke, he isn't thinking, oh, what a glorious moment this is in my life. What a great, kick up the arse, and what a great realization of how precious life is. But looking back on it now, he thinks that. But in the moment, it's never the case.
No. So cotton wool theory, if you live that life, you're in for a hell of a ride. So get rid of it as fast as you possibly can. Next one is the Lion King theory. Obviously, I love this one. It's Mr. Rafiki whacking Simba on the head saying, don't live in the past. Learn from those mistakes, because they're only there again. It's just a run on from the cotton wool theory. But learn from them. Leave them in the, don't let that define you, because the reality is that does not define you unless you let it and you give the failure meaning, and then that will define you. So learn from those mistakes, but learn quickly, fall over, get up faster, and then run again, because I promise you, the ones that keep showing up and keep delivering on their goals and just showing up, and even if they fumble, they fail quickly, they get up and they go again. Those people are always the ones who kick on and do amazing things with their lives. Every time. It's the ones that give up and go back to the cotton wool theory. They're the ones that never amount to anything, and they're the ones that are always quick to say, that doesn't work. It's pretty easy to see them in your life. Just let them stay in the little cotton ball, and you just go this way and learn from the past and let old Rafiki whack you on the head. Easy. And then the last one is the feel the fear theory, obviously, which is embracing those things that do suck. And it's a being okay that you did suck. It's nothing wrong with failing. It's an amazing thing to learn from it. But as long as you learn from it, because the next thing you do then is you grow. But if you choose not to learn from it and you keep saying the same things and you keep having that horrible language, then unfortunately you're not going to have that learning that you need to do to then embrace it and take that next step. Easy. Done.
Good. 3 things. Another one, just to leave you on.
Don't talk about oranges again. It was painful.
What did I say about oranges?
I don't know. It was something about a metaphor you had about some fruit. Anyway, carry on.
I've lost my point.
Yeah, see, it was about fruit again.
It's something about you only fail when you quit. So just
yes.
keep getting up and you ain't failing.
Yeah.
But turn those into lessons and learn from it, because you only become a better, well-rounded human. And the beauty of this, of everything that fitness can relate to every other part in your life. You can use these philosophies for your health and fitness goals. You can use these philosophies in any other area of your life, your relationships, your career, your spirituality. It doesn't matter. These all filter through. And that's what I love so much about being in the health and fitness pillar, is because it can literally affect every other inch of your life. So please, there's 3 things to consider actually there's really only 2 because we crossed out number 1. That was just like a trick question, really, but it's not really an option because you guys are all healthy, fit and strong and powerful people, and you'll understand that there's more to life than sitting in a cotton wool
being
ball.
afraid to go out of the doors.
Yes.
Trying again.
Yes.
Put
So
yourself out there.
as it comes to the start of 2022, that's what we're currently in, and setting goals and your plan and your ideas for this year, just go and do it. You know, if you've had the thought, just write it down, take an action step towards it, give it a crack, because let's be honest, even if you make it halfway there, you're a lot further along than where you currently are now. They say aim for the stars and you may just land on the moon, and that's going to be, you know, pretty spectacular whatsoever. So if you're considering doing the 8-week challenge, you've got time. It starts on Monday. We've got some cool new additions for that one. If you're considering you've got a goal that you want to achieve this year, reach out, let us help you. Like, especially if it's health and fitness, we kind of happen to be experts in that field, and we would love to help you, whether it be a running goal, triathlon, strength, it doesn't matter. We would love to help you get there. So let us be on the journey with you. But if you need any help in any way, shape or form, we are here for you, and we would love to support you however we can, because it is all about the fit body and the fit mind. That's 89 done.
Wow.
3 theories, really only 2, but hopefully that helps you understand how to not be disappointed with a failure, because really there's only a failure if you quit. But you got this, expect it. Don't expect a smooth ride.
Any more words?
I've probably got a few, but I'm going
to end the conversation. Thanks, legends.
Thank
Have a
you,
rip of a
guys.
night.
Thank you so much. We love you. Ciao for now.